Um, we are moving along in the Yoga Sutras. So we are on Sutra 227 today. And I'm just going to start by reading it straight up from Swami Satchidananda's translation. This is what he says. One's wisdom in the final stage is sevenfold. One's wisdom in the final stage is sevenfold. That's actually what the sutra says. That's all it says. But he's gone on to explain the 7 stages. And this is what he's written. One experiences the end of 1, desire to know anything more. 2, desire to stay away from anything. 3, desire to gain anything new. 4, desire to do anything. And then 5 is sorrow, 6 is fear, and 7 is delusion. So when you get to the final stage of wisdom, these are the experiences. Well, let me start out by saying I'm definitely not there. So last night before I went to sleep, I saw some news, which, this could be any moment in time. News is disturbing. And I went to bed, and of course, it's the first thing I thought of this morning when I woke up. I was like, oh, I wonder if there's any more news. And then this part of me that I think comes from this practice was like, don't look. Like, just start your day from a place of a desire not to know anything more. And a desire to stay away from anything. So just try to put in these practices. I did a little sutra study before I went to sleep as well. So it's like in my head, these ways of being when we reach the final stage. And then I got in a little debate with myself. Like, is the desire not to know anything more when we live in the real world, is that just like hiding, burying our head in the sand? Which sometimes I'm drawn to that desire to just like shut it all out and go into my little fantasy world where all of the things that are happening outside are not allowed in. And when I do that, it cuts me off from other people. Because everybody else is kind of having an experience of these major events that happen in our world. And I don't necessarily at this point in my journey want to feel cut off. I want to feel safe, but I don't want to feel disconnected. So I talked myself into listening to the news a little bit. But what I think my practice has given me is, like, I went into that experience kind of from a place of discernment. Like, okay, why are you doing this, and what's the aim here? And really my aim is to make sure I'm not just avoiding reality, but I don't also want to get caught up in things that I don't have control over. So this teaching says when we get to the final stage of wisdom, we won't have this desire to know more, and we won't have a desire to stay away from anything. Right? Well, it'll be just neutral, like something happened. I don't need to go learn everything I can, and I don't need to say, I don't want to know. It's just like, oh, something happened. And with that, also, in the final stage, there's no more sorrow, fear, or delusion. which sounds good. But we're not there. At least I'm not there. And so this is one of the things that I want to distinguish in terms of how I use these teachings. This is like me talking as a 50-something-year-old woman that lives in the United States and has a job and has a dog and a husband. Like, I'm a householder. What this sutra is teaching us isn't like, you should be doing this right now if you're in that place in your life where you have responsibilities and you have relationships with the outside world. What I started to think about when I was reading this was like, okay, so I've been a witness to a number of people at the end of life. I've had that privilege. Like, is this what they're going through? Like the falling away of all of these things that are so important to us when we're moving through the world. And what if I read this sutra from that point of view, like, okay, like, I've been there and I've done that, and now it's time for me to start to let go. And so what does this sound like when I'm ready to let go? Or maybe not ready, but it's time to let go. So I'm going to read it again. One's wisdom in the final stage is sevenfold. One experiences the end of desire to know anything more, desire to stay away from anything, desire to gain anything new, desire to do anything, sorrow, fear, and delusion. So if I'm in the final stage, this sounds awesome. Right? Can I get to that place where it's time and I don't feel like I need to know more. I don't feel like I need to push anything away. I don't feel like I need anything else. Right? And there's no more sorrow, fear, or delusion. That's kind of how I want to be when the final stage is here for me. And what this book goes on to tell us, like, it's kind of ironic. If you read all 12 pages that he has to say in here about what this means, you know, there's a lot of kind of uncomfortable stuff in here. It says the fifth plane, we're looking for a humble, simple mind, completely free of impressions. Like all of these things that I'm not quite ready for. So, ironically, the next sutra, Sutra 228, talks about the practice of the 8 limbs of yoga. Like, we're going to get there next week where it's like, okay, and this is how to practice yoga. So he's just told us, like, all the things don't matter, and then he's going to tell us what to do, which are things. So, you know, I invite us as we practice today, like, the teachings are telling us what's possible, but it's not dictating that, like, this is where you need to be right now. We're all on a journey. We're going to start talking about the specific practices that we can undertake on that journey to get to this place when we're at the final stage, right? So when we're ready, when the final stage is here, we've done enough to not need and to be able to let go and to not be afraid. At least that's my hope. So the path is practice until it's not. So we're going to practice. We're going to practice concentration, which is one of the limbs. We might practice meditation, which is another limb. Who knows? You could reach samadhi today. It's a journey. Today might be the day. So let's sit. Take a moment and create your posture on purpose. Set your feet in your seat. Notice and create your hands on purpose. Notice your posture and create your posture to be a clear channel for your practice. Just an openness. An alertness without a tightness. Sukha sthira. Some effort and some ease. I invite you to start with attention on your breath. If for you the breath is agitating, you can choose another anchor. Just anchor into something stable, steady, and grounding. Discipline your mind to stay with your anchor for just a little while as we begin. Starting to cultivate the observer. Witnessing your own practice. awareness to your state of mind. It might be a simple labeling of tight, wandering, steady, scattered. Fantastic. glasses right now? How are you seeing the world? Start to breathe some fuller, deeper breaths. One more, just kind of as a clearing. And you're welcome to open your eyes. Come back here. Any insights or questions, comments? If I have any counsel to offer, it's don't watch too much news. Just enough to not have your head buried, but not enough to freak out. I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you. That is good counsel. Bye. Bye, everybody.